Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Repa FM. My name is Amir Chanapwe. My colleagues are here, Adamawa Baduri and TV Tiaf, and it's coming a day after the Independent National Electoral Commission. INEC announced revised election timetable, election date timetable. Recall that after they first announced the first set of timetable, some interest came up saying it falls within the Lenten period and the Ramadan especially, forcing the National Assembly to amend the Electoral Act to extend the window for INEC to change the date, which they successfully did. And so we were told by INEC yesterday that presidential and National Assembly election will hold in less than 1 year time. To be precise, Saturday, 16 January 2027. Presidential election date, Saturday, 16th January 2027. Governorship elections will hold much later. That's governorship and state houses of assembly elections, Saturday, 6th February. Again, governorship and state houses of assembly election, Saturday, 6th February. Now, let's take you through the key milestones. Before the election itself, there are other schedule of activities that would follow. Party primaries. The parties will pick their candidates for all this election between April 23 and May 30. So, in 2 months' time, it's full-blown whistle and the race will start. Parties will start party primaries between April 23 and end by May 30. That's for presidential and National Assembly campaigns. Activities for that campaign will start August 19. Presidential and National Assembly election campaigns after the primaries and winner emerging by May 30. You have to wait June, July, then August campaign start. For governorship elections, campaign will start 9th of September. Again, for governorship and state houses of assembly elections, campaigns will start 9th of September. Adamawa Baduri.
Thank you, Amishi. Good morning to TV in the studio, and good morning to our listeners out there, wherever you are listening to us this morning, in any part of the world, and to our YouTube viewers. Good morning to you too. I know that YouTube is working. I was at National Hospital yesterday. As a result of that, I couldn't be on the program. And somebody walked across to me. He said, "You are not on the program." I'm watching it. I'm watching all over again the program on YouTube. I didn't see you. I said, how do you know who I am and all the rest? He said, "I know you. You mentioned my name." So that means we are having the YouTube platform is becoming increasingly accessible to people, and a lot of people are enjoying it. We thank you for that. Well, Amishi, we said so in January this year that if care is not taken, that was on the first week of January this year, that there will be no governance in Nigeria for the greater part of this year until May next year, because attention will be shifted to politics. It's now clear that we are now becoming like people who can prophesize it, and it is happening, because if primaries will start in April, I can imagine the scheming, the plotting that will be going on, and these are distractions that will not allow them full concentration on governance issue. Well, that is what we have to contend with as a nation. When I heard the announcement of the new dates, you also missed out that Osun governorship election has been rescheduled to from 8 to August 15. I don't know the reason for that anyway, because it was not explained. And then I look at the implications of these new dates, and I will spread them out in 4 key areas. First, legal compliance and litigation resolution, which is very, very important, which we have stressed on this program, that all all litigations, all legal disputes related to election must be settled before the
swearing
in, so that state resources are not deployed for legal battle at the detriment of those who are probably contesting those elections. And I think if they stick to it and it is accomplished, I think it's a milestone and something that we should be able to commend. If it happens, that's what I'm saying. Then there is the issue of religious consideration, the overlap with Ramadan. But immediately the announcement was made yesterday, groups too started complaining that the month of January, to some Christian groups, particularly the Pentecostal group, that is the month, the first 21 days, some 21 days, some 30 days of the year is their own fasting period too. So which means we are pleasing one group and displeasing another. That's why I want on this program that issue of religion.
So let them speak up.
Issue of religion is very, very sensitive. We might solve one problem and then encounter another one. The other.
So throughout the first quarter of every year, we are fasting.
We are fasting as a nation.
I'm praying.
Then
corruption continues to be on the increase.
You've already raised the issue of accelerated political timelines, the primaries, the continuous voter exercise, and so many other things. But there is one other issue. There is one issue which I think will be a challenge, and INEC and its officials, the chairman and the national commissioners and the REC need to put on their thinking caps to address. And this has to do with logistical challenges and then operational and technological pressure.
Okay.
They must put on their full thinking cap to see how they can cope now that the election days have been brought forward. They must tackle this. There is no time left for them. If they are still thinking that January is still far,
okay,
I can tell them January is here. And so they must start thinking fast right now. And then before Timmy comes in, let me also break the news that in the very early hours of this morning, the governor of Adamawa dumped PDP, embraced APC, and himself with members of his cabinet, chairman of local government, about 15 members of the State House of Assembly and the Speaker are now members of APC.
Okay.
He made a state broadcast
this morning.
Let's
bring in David.
I have a feeling that broadcast is an abuse of power.
Okay.
Because you cannot. It's a personal decision, and so you don't deploy state resources.
Okay, we have to bring in David now.
Yeah, Amici, good morning to you. Good morning, listener and the viewer on YouTube. That's at AIT, Repower Abuja. You see, you said a day after. If you are counting the hours, as at the time we got the news yesterday, not up to 24 hours yet. But yes, the day has broken. So
it was on Thursday, we're on a Friday. Right. So it's a day after.
The day after.
But less than 24 hours.
The same day, the opposition,
yes.
APC, as APC, ADC and NNPP, their leaders came together.
Did you notice that the PDP cleverly stayed out of that press conference?
Yes, the reports we got indicated that, look, because of the recognition given by INEC, yes. You know, the group that is recognized by the courts and INEC, who is not a group that will be there.
But they could have come on their own as opposition leaders.
You know, so but they didn't show up. That's what we heard.
And there's more to that.
You know, so it's what it is. The day they were challenging the same law or rejecting the same law, that action has already been taken on as we progress. But I hope that they will know what to do. Definitely nobody could have gone to court to stop lawmaking, because it's almost prohibited by the Constitution that the process of lawmaking cannot be stopped. But
you can challenge the outcome.
You can challenge the outcome. Which is why I said most probably was one of the reasons why the president rushed to sign, because somebody can go to court and get an order saying, Mr. President, don't sign. You know. So we will have what we have on our hands. The primaries coming, it is almost about the same time that they were expected to come, you know, from the old time. Although the old time people said, I think June, July. And now we're having April, May, which is barely how many months?
How many days? It's not a matter of months. Days.
From
It's
now.
still months.
So the parties have to get up and running. The major complaint the opposition, ADC and NNPP were having yesterday was the issue of removal of direct primaries. Of indirect primaries that they don't have the capacity. Not all of them will have the capacity to run, but with what we have on our hands, they have to put on their thinking caps, you know, to see what they can do. So by April,
APC had cleverly finished their own online registration.
Yes, exactly, and that is also part of the provision in the law that all parties must submit digital copies of registered members of their parties. So,
to INEC.
To INEC. So they have so much, you know, to deal with. So they need to do much more than what they are doing at the moment. I hope so.
Lamentations.
Yeah, lamentations. ADC, for instance, they have a committee of how many members to draft manifesto. I don't know.
They have not even finished drafting
manifesto.
They've started on membership drive. I think they have started, but yeah. Not e-membership drive.
It's dual.
Okay.
E-membership and manual membership, okay. From what they told us. So if you have 2 months or how many months, and all of that, and you've not stated what you want to do, to do with power, if it's given to you, I think they need to hurry up. Everybody needs to hurry up from what we are seeing, to be able, so that you don't miss those timelines. If you look at the timelines INEC has given, now it's not just going to INEC office to submit paper that you can say you will go there by 12 midnight, and all of those things. It's online, and once the portal shuts down, sorry for you, it was the same thing that happened to Labour Party and others who could not upload the names of their agents, all their agents in 2023 elections. So it's the same process. They need to brace up and see what the most they can make.
Don't be surprised when they begin their own membership register. APC may want to infiltrate.
I don't know how they will do it will be done.
Because if I'm in APC, that's what I advise them to do. Infiltrate the enemy camp and cause trouble.
No, that one is definite.
Yes.
It's political. You plant moles everywhere. And all of that.
It's an offense.
It's not an offense.
There
are ways you can bend the law without breaking it. In football, not all tackles are dangerous tackle. If you get the ball and get the man, it's allowed. So, but if you get the man without getting the ball, the referee blows. I think it's the opposition that played into their hands. They were confused. Up till now, I see confusion within the opposition camp. They were dilly-dallying. And APC is moving in with.
If you look at the Watergate scandal, it was a spy on the Democratic Party process that led to the Watergate scandal. So when you say it is allowed, it's not allowed. You are sabotaging an opposition. Yes. I mean, you might say
who broke into the party's office in the Watergate scandal?
It was the Republican Party. Party.
That they broke in, but these ones they will register as members.
Member of the party
and buy form. When you're selling form, they will buy your nomination form.
The Balogun knows that when you have now we have 21 political parties.
Yes,
a number of those candidates will be sponsored by the major parties. The major of the candidates will be sponsored by the major parties. So that they could possibly block other and distract all of that.
They've been doing it before.
Use some of those people when it comes to tribunal, when it comes to several other.
But it's not even just. It's not just.
It's beyond membership.
No, it's not just sponsoring candidates. It has been established there are some political parties in the course of this Fourth Republic which has the wherewithal sponsor register political parties.
Exactly. For sure. That's what I'm saying. So we're not talking of just somebody registering legally,
Yes.
registering as a member of the party.
Once you register, you can vie for the presidency.
Yes.
And if ADC wants to do consensus, and one man sponsored by whatever
Whatever
interest
interest,
pays for the form and said, I want to run, you must do direct primaries. That rubbishes your consensus candidate.
Completely.
Yeah.
You know, so and that is what they were complaining yesterday, that
Yes.
you know, they don't even have the capacity for consensus, because unlike the APC where the president or the governor can sit and say, okay, you will go for this, you will go for this, and everybody will keep quiet. Would
they really keep quiet?
They will to a very large extent.
Let's see.
Very large. We saw what happened in Cross River, for instance. John, what's his name? Who is the minister of state in one of the ministries? Took the president governor when they were running the primary. He took them to court. When the president went there for comment, he said, "Look, go and withdraw the matter." He went and withdrew them, and that was how all of those ended. So now they have somebody who can. It's not Buhari that will not talk to anybody.
I'm not aware.
This one will sit and say, "Look, I want this to happen. This to happen." And the reason why they will obey is that they know that the president has the capacity to compensate. You know, because at the end of the day, they can appoint you a minister, just like what happened in Cross River. They can give you a DG, they can give you ambassadorial appointment, they can give you all of that and several other things. You know that the president
They can find something for you.
Just like the governor can also find something. But for the opposition, you know,
there's nothing to
everybody will want to work. They just feel that, okay, at least in this constituency, I know that people, the electorate agree. If I get this ticket and I campaign and I stand the chance, or so it will be.
They will tell them, if we win, we will give you this promises.
You know, so it's going to be a huge challenge. What I'm also looking at is the pre-election matters. You know, when by the time the primaries run, the courts will be a floodgate, you know, and all of that. Whether we'll be able to dispense of all of those things within the reasonable time, you know, that we have.
Okay.
And we must. You said people who have issues with the new date in the next year should make. We must also make a case. There is a particular denomination.
Yes, that's what
denomination.
The
Seventh-day Adventists. They even went to court at some point. Some members even went to court.
That's voting on Saturday.
Yes, the Saturday is their own Sunday, their own Sabbath day. We saw a clear example of what happened in one of these state constituency by-elections in Rivers. Majority of those in that community are Seventh-day Adventists. When the electoral officers went, they had to wait. Those people had to go to their church, finish the church before they came by 10.
So how did the court case play out? I guess it was thrown out.
Yeah, I need to find out, you know, how, you know, it went. But if we are respecting the rights of people, their right to religious, in other countries, they hold elections on work days.
That's what Adamawa said.
And
he
you
said,
shut down the whole
we
country.
know Pentecostal churches in Nigeria fast January.
Yeah.
So you pushed it from February to even. Some people are saying in the southeast we are itinerant. We go to we travel during holidays, and when we are traveling back, you expect us also. So there's a whole lot of interest
to accommodate. I want on this program that issue of religion must be downplayed. President Shehu Shagari was elected. The election where he was elected in 1979 took place on the 18th day of Ramadan of that year,
and nobody raised any
issue, and people came out to vote
in their conscience.
People came out to vote, and so but when you start reading the religion, the totality of it is that you are giving room for another group to complain, and that's essentially what we are witnessing now. But the way and manner that it is handled is what matters most, in such a way that it doesn't lead to friction and it's resolved peacefully. The Seventh-day Adventist group, for instance, I have, on an election day, I entered their service, I watched what they are doing, I saw they had normal service for them, and after the service, I interviewed the pastor of the church in, I think it's somewhere behind, around the Beggar in Abuja.
Beggar bus stop.
Yeah, and I asked him, you are here, your church is full. He said, yes.
Even with restriction of movement.
Yes, they were there.
They will find
he said
their way.
they left, they gave instruction that people should leave their homes as early as 4 a.m. And they were there. And I said, are you going to vote? He said, no, we can't compromise. We are not going to vote because we are not, they don't consider us as Nigeria. So these are issues that are supposed to be looked
If we can ignore them and still continue to hold the elections on Saturday, why should we bend to any person? I recall you were against the shift when it happened. Because there is always a reason when it falls on a particular day, genuine as it may be, for those concerned to also raise you and cry.
Yes. So which means the Seventh-day Adventist group in Nigeria has not been voting.
They have been disenfranchised.
Yes, they have.
But it's their choice. They have not been voting by choice. But
but they have rights.
Yes.
They have rights.
Yes, they have rights. So, but our conclusion is we fix election on a day it will be best for the country. And whatever sacrifice you have to make it. Because by the time you give in to the first excuse, there will be multiple excuses and reasons why you must also shift subsequent ones. Let's hear from you and let's read some of the mails sent to our email platform.
All right, good morning, everyone. I am Onoshorena Obozege, and here are some of your mails. First one is from Henry Ewunono from Abuja, and it aligns with the conversation by the analyst. It says, INEC has revised the presidential election date to January 16, 2027 in response to legal amendment and religious concerns. I feel this day, one day after a very busy day in government circles, which is the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration, and 15 days after the New Year's Day will cause a lot of logistical challenges and disenfranchise citizens who are yet to return from the end of the year festivities. It means that some cross-sections of the voting demography may not participate as they will be away from the locations where they registered to vote. Is Nigeria ready for the wahala that may emanate from another January 15 sad memories? Also in alignment is a mail from Alimosho in Lagos State sent in by Emmanuel Nkama. Says, good morning to you, dear political platform crew. Please, I crave your indulgence to observe that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has shifted the presidential election of 2027 from 20th of February 2027 to 16th of January 2027, and the governorship election House of Assembly from 6th of March 2027 to 6th of February 2027 due to the Ramadan and Lent fasting and prayers of Muslims and Christians is an aberration and is suspicious. This is because the government did not declare public holidays during the days of fasting, and people still go about their businesses and work unperturbed. Unfortunately enough, this rescheduled date of the election is capable of affecting the opposition parties who are having one outstanding court cases or the other. The opposition parties and Atiku, Obi, Amechi have since rejected the new election date of INEC. But it's like crying over spilled milk because they and other prominent ADC chieftains should have protested this lopsided INEC decision at the National Assembly before now. Kerry is calling on the new INEC to always act as an independent body and not act as if it's been teleguided or instructed to take some serious decisions as it affects the democratic future of Nigerians. Let there be a level playing ground for the upcoming election, and people's vote should count. John Peters from Port Harcourt says, it is startling to hear the federal government through the Minister of Finance announces that cash transfers have been made to 9 million Nigerians, poorest families. 9 million families? What God cannot do in Nigeria does not exist. It says, at a time of deep economic hardship, such news should bring comfort. But what has raised eyebrows is the claim that the transfers were carried out digitally. Did he say digitally? Many Nigerians are asking, Is this the same digital system considered unreliable for real-time transmission of election results? Are there now strong digital networks for cash transfers that citizens cannot verify, yet no dependable network for electoral transparency? These are not unreasonable questions. In a democracy, accountability builds trust. It says if 9 million families have truly been reached, then transparency should follow. Clear data, open verification, and evidence the public can see. Because in difficult times, hope must not only be announced, it must be proven. In this country, a time is coming for transparency because a new Nigeria must be made possible in our time. Possible for him is spelled capital letter O, capital letter P, and then Sibo. From Abuja is a Jafar Isife who says, when the government decided to proliferate regional development commissions, I was among those who strongly opposed the move. My position was anchored on the monumental failure that trailed the Niger Delta Development Commission, an agency that over time became widely perceived as a conduit for embezzlement on an unimaginable scale. Allegations ranged from houses reportedly built for girlfriends to a landscape dotted with substandard and abandoned projects across the region. At the recent budget defense of the Southeast Development Commission, it was troubling to observe that frivolities appeared to receive more attention than pressing developmental concerns. Conferences were prioritized, and the procurement of security equipment was emphasized, even though governors already receive monthly security votes. Meanwhile, the deplorable state of schools across the Southeast remained largely unaddressed. Critical investments such as regional power infrastructure, which could catalyze economic growth and strengthen small businesses, were seemingly treated as non-essential until we become deliberate and disciplined in how we establish, manage, and oversee ministries, departments, and agencies. The endemic corruption arising from overlapping responsibilities and institutional duplication will continue to thrive and further entrench inefficiency in governance. That's how much we can have. Thank you so much. Please continue to send your thoughts to politicalplatform@dargroup.com.
Thank you so much for the mails. Well, regional development commissions, many of them that were created did not have any budget in 2025. So in the absence of nothing to do, some of them started organizing conferences. Let's harness. And I think that what the Southeast Development Commission did was notable. They didn't just sit idle like others. They said, let's just use this period to get the views of people of the area on the development trajectory we will follow. Let's hope that they will give them money in 2026. Anyway, the budget has not even been passed, and we're moving into March. So you can guess what the outcome will be. They should get ready for other conferences. Now, what options do the opposition leaders have? They can challenge either the act in its entirety in court or provisions of it. If they believe the National Assembly has no right to dictate, which I believe, to political parties on its internal affairs, such as how do you organize your primaries, they can go to court and challenge it. But as they're doing that, some people will readily tell me, you know who controls the courts.
One of the letters, the letters from one of our listeners, particularly on the issue of transfers to poorest of the poor. I think that letter is not one that should be ignored. A situation where some of the things we do are doubtful, when there are no reliable statistics on who the beneficiaries.
Verifiable
beneficiaries. I think it's an issue that we should not be treating as if it does not matter. It matters. During COVID, we witnessed monumental fraud in the name of feeding school children who are with their parents at home, and they said they were being provided food. It turned out to be that it. So these are issues that I think if accountability matters to us,
Okay.
that we should
For want of time, let's bring in Teve for his final words.
Those who will go to court, if they will, which some of them said yesterday, some said they will even go to embassies.
Court of international opinion.
All of that. I think that will be for a later day. They need to put on their thinking caps, like we advised. We need to put on their thinking caps and do things differently. They must be ahead. If they want to make any impact in the next election, they must be ahead of the ruling party. They must be, and they must not sit and wait for Nigerians to fight their fight.
They'll be reactive instead of being proactive.
It's not when Nigerians went to demonstrate that some of them started coming out to join, and this they have to fight their fight. If you don't fight their fight the way APC did before overthrowing the PDP, I'm sorry for them.
We'll have to go now. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a weekend, and let's do it again on Monday. My name is Amici Anapwe.